In this video today, I'm going to teach you how to sell effectively through direct messaging on Instagram. And I'm going to show you the exact script I used with my client that got 10 new clients and 2 referrals all within 1 week. Hi guys, thank you for joining me today. This is the spot for new and established business owners to get practical marketing advice for their businesses. And I offer free 5-minute video audits for your Instagram accounts if you're looking to increase your growth and sales. If you're looking for more information on that and how you can sign up for them, wait till the end of this video and I'll talk more about that. But for now, let's get started. In this video today, I want to show you real DMs that I have received that aren't very effective, and I want to go over what they're doing wrong and how to actually fix that. And so we've all sent bad DMs to people, and I don't want this to be an atmosphere of judging them or making fun of them in any way. I've sent by far worse DMs than this. So with that in mind, just take what they've done wrong and figure out how you can apply it into your own business so that you can be a little bit more effective and get sales. So some common mistakes that I see with DMs is that either the pitch is too soon, they don't mention anybody's name, so it's not personalized. Other times it's not targeted. I want to go through each of these individually and explain how you can improve it and be more effective with your messaging. Tip number 1 is it's not how you intend it, it's how the other person receives it. Meaning if you've offended the other person or you haven't said anything that appeals to them, that person's not going to respond, or they're just going to flat out say no to you. So for example, with this particular DM, this guy didn't mention my name, which is a huge pet peeve of mine. Just as an individual, I don't like, my name is available on my Instagram account, so when somebody doesn't use it, it tells me that they're likely just looking for a sale. They didn't put any genuine time and effort into my account, and I just tend to not respond to those that much. But what this guy did really well was that he was very friendly, so I did take the time to respond back to him and tell him that I was not interested. But my point in bringing this up is the very fact that he didn't use my name just made me not want to start a conversation with him at all. And so you really need to be aware that even if you don't intend something to be rude, you really want to take the extra step and thought process on how is this going to be interpreted to somebody else. Because if somebody interprets it as not valuable or sleazy or salesy, or they think that you're trying to sell them right away, or if you're not interested in them, like how this guy made me feel, all of those block the sale. So you really need to take the time to make sure that you are considering how somebody might react to that message. If it's friendly enough, does it appear salesy? All of these different aspects you really want to take the time to consider. And as you try more DM scripts over time, you'll learn things that you hadn't even considered that people just tend not to like, right? So you'll know how to fix those over time as long as you're evaluating what's working for you and what's not. And so this will take some time and it takes some practice scripts, so that's pretty normal and it's just something to look out for. Tip number 2 is you want to explore whether they have a problem that you can actually fix first. So what a lot of people do is they do a whole script and then they actually pitch their offer without even checking to see if somebody's interested or not. In this guy's particular case, he mentions that my engagement is not what it should be, and he's 100% correct in pointing that out. However, what he's not aware of is that my account, I had 8,000 followers originally, and then I drastically changed the type of content that I was putting out on my Instagram account. So my following actually dropped by 2,000 followers and my engagement went down the toilet as well, because a lot of people weren't interested in the content that I was putting out anymore. And so I was in a transition phase of getting new people to be attracted to the new content that I was putting out. So that was a huge contributor to my lack of engagement. As you guys may know, how the algorithm works on Instagram is that it will show your content to 10% of your audience, and then it'll see how your audience reacts to that. However, I had a situation where a lot of my audience wasn't reacting to that content because it was new and they weren't interested. So Instagram would suppress that content, and anyway, it turned out being this whole engagement mess, and it's just something that time has to go by to attract a new audience with that. So I knew this about my account because it was my account and I do this for a living, so I wasn't that worried about it. And this guy was completely unaware of the problem. If I were him, what I would have done instead was, like I said, I was very quick to shut this down. I said, no, I'm not interested. I'm satisfied with the strategy I'm using. And so what he does is he follows up and he restates my problem. So he completely disregards what I just said. He disregards my no, and he follows up, let's talk more about this problem that I feel that you have. And so once again, he's totally right in that the engagement's a problem. That's not the issue. But because I had shut him down and he just kept trying to throw the problem in my face, he was missing an opportunity to actually start a real conversation and explore what my problem was, right? So what I would suggest instead is to actually follow up and say, oh, okay, like what strategy are you currently using? And then I likely probably would have told him everything that was going on in my account, right? So what likely would have resulted from that conversation, since he is somebody that's a marketer that grows social media accounts and I do the same thing, was we were probably following the exact same strategy anyway, and there actually wasn't a problem he could really solve with my particular issue. But because he didn't take the time to actually figure out what my problem was or what my objections were, he just went straight in to restate the problem that he felt I had. It shut the conversation down right there. I didn't want to argue with him about it. And I didn't, I don't know him. I'm not gonna fight about my engagement with a stranger, right? So you need to be careful with figuring out if that person has an issue that you're even able to fix, because he might not have been able to fix that problem. In fact, he likely couldn't. There were other factors that he was not aware of on my account. And this is just a key reason on why you need to be aware of your customers' problems first. It is also important for pre-qualifying your prospects. For example, if you're really friendly and you figure out whether that person has a problem you can solve or not, then you know whether that person is worth more of your time or if you should move on to somebody else at that point. So a lot of people are scared to do this in sales because they're very focused on getting the end sale, and they don't focus on actually finding people who are likely to be happy with the purchase and need that product or service. So by exploring whether that person has a problem you can solve or not, you're actually opening up the opportunity to create rapport with that person, understand them a little bit better, and pre-qualify them to see if they're worth more of your time or not. It also makes that person feel less defensive when you make your pitch. So it sets it up for the sale later on. Tip number 3 is you want to make sure you're using personalized scripts. So it's very common for people to make a script, which honestly I'm a huge fan of. I think it saves a lot of time. But what you want to do is you want to personalize it to that person. So like I said, make sure you're using their name, make sure you're complimenting them or starting some sort of dialogue in the first sentence or two, so that they know that that message was meant for them. It wasn't something that you copied and pasted to 100 people. And the funny thing is, when you start to personalize your script, your response rate goes way up, okay? And honestly, that's a lot more important, because if you can message 20 people and have 10 of those people respond to you, that's a lot better than sending out 100 messages and having, once again, 10 people respond to you, right? That's a 10% response rate compared to a 50% response rate. So it's actually more worth your time to spend that extra minute or two coming up with a personalized script right at the beginning. Like I said, just the first 1 or 2 sentences. Tip number 4 is to target your ideal customer. I know this sounds obvious, but a lot of people actually miss this step. And so this is an example of a message I got from a guy that was trying to sell his podcast class. And so the reason why this was poorly targeted was because I don't own a podcast. And because of that, that means that not only does this guy need to convince me on why a podcast is important, why I should do it, and then he needs to actually convince me to spend resources on it. And then after all of that's happened, then he can go in and say, hey, I have this great podcast masterclass or whatever it was that he was selling. and then to get me to ultimately invest in that afterwards. As you can see, by not sending a properly targeted message, you actually put a whole bunch of roadblocks in front of the sale, just alone by doing that. So a way that this could have been improved was if that guy had actually gone to people who already had podcasts, because that person already knows podcasts are important. They already are investing resources and time into it. And so for them to decide to invest money into that, unless they're actually satisfied with their podcast results, they're way more likely to follow through with that sale. And so this partly comes back to determining what that person's problem is and if you can solve that. Tip number 5 is to make sure you're offering value first. What a lot of people are doing wrong is they go and they interrupt somebody's day and they ask that person for a favor in the form of a sale. And if some stranger walks up to you on the street and asks you to give them something, you're likely to shrug them off and try and get away from them as fast as you can, right? So you want to make sure that you're offering value to them first, and it should be something that is perceived as a gift. It should not be something where, you know, hey, I'm gonna do this and then I'm gonna pitch you for 10 hours afterwards and badger you into buying my product. Those are two totally different feelings, and I'm sure you've been on both sides of them where, you know, but making that purchase just seemed like the next logical step versus somebody who is trying to pressure you into buying something that you weren't 100% convinced on. Okay, so there's two very different feelings there. What I want to do now is I want to show you the script that I used for my clients that got them a 30% conversion rate, and it utilizes all of the tips that I'm giving you today. So I wanted to show you their specific script just so that you have an idea of what a good script looks like. We've gone through some not so great examples, and hopefully you'll be equipped to building the script for your business. My client's script converted at about 30% almost, and that's an extremely high conversion rate. Their company was structured to make this very easy for customers to say yes to. So if we take a look at this script here, it starts with an introduction on, you know, hi so-and-so, so we're using their name, and then it quickly introduces who they are and their company. And then we go in and we say, hey, we're offering free samples, would you be interested in one? So the reason why this is effective is it's short, concise, to the point, and it doesn't ask them for anything in return. If that person is just being offered a free sample, nobody's gonna get mad at that, and a lot of people enjoy being asked and offered those things. The benefit to this as well is that it actually created a lot of social proof for my client as well. So people would get their free sample delivered. So my client would go and deliver the free samples, and then these pet owners would actually post photos of the sample that they got on their social media account. So not only was my client marketing directly to the people who volunteered to get a free sample to begin with, but they were also getting extra brand awareness by having those people post about them on social media. And so on top of this, what made this even better was that my clients weren't asking people to do this. They were just really happy with the product and the service. They really appreciated being offered a free sample. So my clients got tons of free marketing with that as well. And this also led them to get about 10 sales and 2 referrals within 1 week of doing this script. And the reason for that is because if people go and they're offered a free sample, obviously they would check my client out on their website, and provided that the food was comparable to what they were paying now and better quality than what they're currently feeding their pet, there's very little incentive for people to say, no, I don't want to purchase that product. And because they sell pet food, anybody who's a pet owner that owns either a dog or a cat was in my client's targeting zone, right? Pet food's not optional for your pet, right? The only thing that this script doesn't do as much is investigate the problem they have, because like I said, the way that this offer is structured, they're offering so much value up front. They're just saying, hey, are you interested in that? So it's very friendly and it's generous, that they don't have to do a whole bunch of investigative work into that person's problem. So if you're selling a product or service that is very similar in nature, where it's more of a necessity than a luxury, you can probably get away with this a little bit more as well. And if you're struggling with your script, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to take a look at your scripts for you guys and give you any tips and tricks on how to improve it if you're struggling. In order to do that, check me out at Cristanta Digital Marketing on Instagram. That's usually the best way to get in contact with me. Alternatively, you can send me an email at alyssa@cristantadigitalmarketing.ca. Thank you so much for watching. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I do offer free marketing trainings that are industry specific. So you will get a whole bunch of content ideas and marketing ideas that are very specific to your industry or niche that you're in. And so if you're interested in signing up for one of those, they do include a free advice call with me as well. You can click the link in the description box below. And I also offer free 5-minute Instagram audit videos for people who are looking to optimize their social media accounts for growth and sales. And you can sign up for that by clicking the link in the description box below as well. Thank you so much, and I will see you next Sunday.